Okay, so I haven't covered this. I'm not going to do it in great detail because there are many videos online about what a delegate is. But I thought I would talk about it as we're going to use one in Unity in the events system. And so you should know what a delegate is. So here I've created a very basic form. I'll just run it. It's got a combo box that has two options, output 1, output 2. And then it's got a rich text box for output. Output 1 is going to put text in here. Should have made that read only. Output 2 is going to do a message box, right? So this is what would happen. If we select output 1, we press go. Hello all appears in here. If we select output 2, hello all comes as a message box. Now this isn't amazing code. I could easily have achieved what I'm doing right now without using a delegate. But I want to talk about the power of delegates and when they can be useful. And this is one situation. So let's go looking at the code. So as into the form, and obviously everything's a form, a class in C#. So this is the form class. So and it's a bit tricky. I'm going to minimize these because it is a little tricky to go through what is going on. So don't really worry about any of this stuff here. Okay. All you've got to understand is I've created a delegate design. So what a delegate is, think of it as a way of having like a variable that you can then link to a method. So you could call a method called like, this is my attack method. And then you could say attack method is now going to be attack with fire, or attack method will now be attack with earth, attack with water. And so you would still always use attack method, but it would select the right one. And this is not the same as polymorphism, where you're picking one from a different subset of a class. This can be done as a variable. So I think it's best explained by showing you. So I've created the design. So I'm saying that my methods, because before you create a delegate, you've got to say what are the methods going to be like, because they all need to be the same. So for example, in this case, they're all going to be return type void, and they're all going to have one parameter. Okay, so this is the design of a delegate. Okay, the design of it. So I've called it output design because it's all my output systems. I've got two here, the text box and the message box. But let's say I had some text to speak thing. If I wanted to make that be work as delegate, it would have to have a void, return, and a string text, right? I've then created two methods that match that structure, just normal private methods, right? One's called text box output, and that sets the text box to it. One's called message box output, and that adds the that shows a message box. Okay, so these are just normal things. I could write text box output hello, and it would change the text box to hello. I could write message box output whatever, and it would show a message, right? So they're just normal methods. Okay, but this is my actual delegate itself. This is a design, and this is a delegate called output text. This is going to be a pointer to the method. So I'm going to use, instead of saying text box output or message box output and doing an if statement, I'm just always going to use the output text. Okay, so on my click button here, you can see that I'm outputting the text hello all. Now, I haven't said which one of those this is linked to yet. So I do that in my combo box. So when I change it to index 0, okay, it's going to make output text equal to a new output design here with the text box output in. Okay, so now every time, if I was going to select in 0, every time I do output text, it will be running this. Okay, and if I do combo box 1 select equals 1, now I change output text to be this. Now this is the beauty of it. Okay, I'm going to actually change this to, I'm going to add the second one and put plus equals as well. Now the beauty of this is, imagine I'll give you an example. I spoke to my class about it. I'll give an example of, imagine an achievement system. You've got 4 different achievements. You're making a mobile app and you've got achievements on Steam. You've got achievements on the Play Stores. You've got achievements on something else, something else, something else. You want to write code for all of those, but you don't. What happens if a new achievement comes out? You don't want to do if they selected this, now do this, or if they selected that, now do that. It'd be a lot easier if you just did like achievement achieved or whatever you want to call it, achievement complete, and then you put, say, the number of the achievement, and then depending on the system, you just change the delegate from achievement achieved or whatever you called it to the different one. If they select Steam, then you set it to the Steam class one. If they select Android or whatever one you're on, and then all your rest of your code would just have like achievement. Like here, all of my code would just have output text. If I want to do a new one, let's say I want a new one, I don't have a voice to text thing, and I can't think of any other way to output some text, unfortunately. But if I wanted a new one called, say I had some voice to texting, I'd just make a new version called voice to text, And then as long as it matches the design of this, then it will work. And then obviously down here, I'll put a new one in, and it doesn't have to be a combo box. Obviously I could, select it from options or a file or whatever. And then from the whole rest of the code would just have this in it, and it wouldn't even know what it was outputting it to. This is the power of delegates. But also here, I'm going to show you something new. I'm going to add to the delegate. So this can actually point to more than one function. So we can actually add to more than one. So if I save that and then run it and select output 0 and then output 1. Okay, and now press go, and it's going to do both. Okay, so that's another power that you can have to it. Not only can it point to one thing, but it can point to others. This can be really good if you want to do something and maybe add it to a backup, or you want to do sometimes certain things, depending on whether someone said it. Like, are they going to have it read out loud as well as printed to the screen? So I could literally say I had text to speak, and every time you said, do you have some disability where you want to have text read to the screen, or you want some vision impairment, and you go yes. Now you can press go. Not only would it print the text out, but it would also read it out loud. Obviously this is not doing that. I don't have any text to speak thing. I probably could find one, but then it would go hello all, and so now you haven't got to write any new code that says like, have they selected this every time. You just write output text and it will do whatever you've added to it. And that's a really powerful feature of what a delegate is. If you want to look up how to make delegates in a bit more detail than this, there's many websites online to make them. You don't particularly use them directly like this in Unity, but you do use them in the event system that I use. Although I suppose you do use it directly, but you don't need to know too much about actually using them. It's just a good idea to know what a delegate is. You can think of it as a pointer to a method, and then you can change where that method points to, or you can even point to multiple methods, etc. Now, just to be clear, you should also take away delegates with minus equals. But you'd need to record the reference for that. I just realized. But so you would really want to create a new version of this and then add it, and then at the end remove it. But this has garbage collection, so garbage collection will remove everything at the end anyway. But the worry in Unity, if you go back to that, is that if you don't take things off and then you delete something, like an object gets deleted, it can try to run a delegate on an object that doesn't exist. Let's say, for example, somehow we deleted, I know message box output doesn't get deleted. Let's say this was a class that we made, right? An object held this that we did up here. If we delete that, then this can go wrong. But that's more about that in the Unity video. So just understand what that plus is. That's adding this to it. It should be removed if you worry about objects being destroyed. But yeah, that's it. That's basically the intro to delegates.